You are Locked On Dolphins Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Miami on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Whoa, what is up, Miami Dolphins? Miami Dolphins, what a win for your team today. 20-3 at Cleveland over the Browns without Tua Tagovailoa. He's out with a hip injury. And Tyler Huntley turning back the clock. People forget in 2022 he made the Pro Bowl playing for Lamar Jackson with the Baltimore Ravens. Looked really confident, comfortable. Big game today for Huntley. The Dolphin defense coming up big over and over again. They got big plays when they needed it. Mike McDaniel let it all hang out, rolling the dice, and they made the plays they needed to make to win the football game. Got some help from the Cincinnati Bengals yesterday. Bengals still alive in the playoff race too. And the Dolphins, hey, I'm still alive. Hey, whoa, wow. What a game, what a win. Your Miami Dolphins, 20-3 over the Cleveland Browns. They get it done, still alive in the playoffs after the Bengals beat the Broncos in overtime. But to hold Cleveland to 3, and I know that they're playing with their third quarterback of the season because Deshaun Watson has been a disaster and Jameis Winston is Jameis Winston. And you got to love an FSU guy being the disaster. Look at that Huntley. Look at Tyler Huntley. Look at my man. Look at him directing traffic out there. Had the touchdown run. Had the touchdown pass. Johnny Smith, 6 touchdown receptions this year. Has been on fire the last 5 weeks. And don't look now, but your Miami Dolphins, after start of the season 2-6, are now 6-2. How about that? How about that? They've won 6 of their last 8 games. And you had a bad loss against the Cardinals. The 16-10 game against the Colts, right? Those two right now, how much would you kill to have those 2 games having been wins? The game at Buffalo, for that matter. Man, that was a killer, right? So the game at Buffalo, the game against the Cardinals, and the game against the Colts, those 3 right there, and your Miami Dolphins would be right in the mix and in the thick of things in the AFC playoff race. And they kind of are right now. And obviously we got some big things coming your way on the show today. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, your Locked On Dolphins postcast, not to be confused with your Locked On Dolphins podcast. This is Dolphins Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So after the Dolphins games, you don't want to be anywhere but right here, Locked On Sports Miami YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Apple Music, iHeart, Stitcher, Podbean. You know what I'm saying? You want to be here after the games, podcast every day with Kyle Krabs, but after the games here and only right here. Same thing with the Heat, same thing with the Marlins, same thing with your Miami Hurricanes. And what a weekend for the quarterbacks, right? Cam Ward quits on the Miami Hurricanes halfway through their bowl game yesterday, and Tua Tagovailoa can't play. The hip, it's the concussions or the hips with Tua, and we know this. A lot of questions about his hip when the Dolphins drafted him so high, right? Coming out of Alabama. That's how his career ended. Roll Tide, right? Satan. Oh, my God. Wasn't that awesome when all of Levitard's callers, Dan Levitard had all his callers from 790 The Ticket calling Saban's first coaches show at Alabama going, Satan, Satan. Anyway, today's show is brought to you by nobody. We'll just give Rocket Money the love. Today, I just was looking at the title sponsor, and I don't see anybody. So how about that's all we got today is Rocket Money. All right, so there you go. And I probably should have looked at that a little bit more before I pulled it up. But that's funny. It's been one of those weeks, one of those days. A lot of shows. We had the Canes yesterday, Heat today, Dolphins today. But what a win for Miami. Let's take you through some of the things that happened in this game. And, really not much of a game in the first half. Not much of a game at all in the first half with your Miami Dolphins and the Cleveland Browns on the road. It's rainy, it's cold, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it is what it is. One of those things, and it's 6-3 at halftime. And you had Jason Sanders making 2 field goals, 25 straight, by the way, for him. One of them hits the crossbar and shoots over. That's when you know it's going to be your day. So 6-3. But one thing that I found to be really poignant for the Dolphins, they got the ball at the end of the first half, and Tyler Huntley was able to complete a pass to Malik Washington with no timeouts. They were able to get up, get about 7 more yards for Sanders, and they get the ball up to the line of scrimmage, and they were able to spike it with 1 second left on the clock. With a backup quarterback playing, no Tua, with all the way that things have been so disjointed this season with the offense, with nobody at all hardly playing in the preseason, Waddle's still out, Tyreek is still banged up. You've had Mostert out most of the year. With Achane, you have had no running game per se and no deep passing game. But, with everything you've had, and even with the 6 penalties and the 60 yards right before halftime, you're still able, and I give this is practice, this is coaching, this is repetition, to be able to get up to that line and get that ball spiked so that Sanders has the chance to kick the field goal. It ended up being a field goal that gave him the lead at halftime. So it was significant. You played like crap in the first half, or not great for that matter, and you go in with the lead as opposed to a tie game, and that makes a big difference. You're on the road, it's cold, you've had a lot of adversity this year, your starting quarterback is out. They had Tyreek Hill, 5 catches in the first half. They had him returning punts. He ended up going over 11,000 yards in his career. He's the 11th player to do that. The 11s were big today for Tyreek Hill. But, Dotson with a big interception. He had 15 tackles today. Second interception with Miami toward the end of the first half, and that set it up. And this Miami defense, let's not forget, they got the interception late in the first half that set up the Sanders field goal that gave them the lead at halftime, and they got 3 straight 4th down stops to finish the game. The biggest one when it's 13-3 and you're doing everything you can to change the momentum. McDaniel loses 2 challenges in a row. You get stuffed on a 4th down. You know what I'm saying? When you had an opportunity to, maybe, you get stuffed on a 4th down, and you had the opportunity, if you make that, to really put the game away. So we'll get through and go through all that stuff in a minute, but then you got a big personal foul that was questionable on a tackle and all that adversity, and then your defense gets a 4th down stop, a goal line stand. Jalen Ramsey bats the ball away in the end zone, playing like the Pro Bowler that he is. So very, very, excuse me, very, very cool to see all those things happening for this team. These guys have not given up on themselves or on each other all season long. No matter who has played quarterback, they've fought through. And you think back to the 16-10 game against the Colts. You think back to the Cardinals game at home, and even the Bills game on the road when the Bills needed that 60-yard field goal late in the game, and they needed Allen's heroics plus the penalty late on Miami, or the Dolphins could have stolen that one as well. And if you can somehow sneak into the playoffs, you have to win next week against the Jets, and you have to have Kansas City beat. And then this is where the NFL starts to get, and you saw Cam Ward sitting out, quitting on the Hurricanes yesterday. Are the Chiefs going to play Mahomes and Kelsey and all those guys next week? Because if the Chiefs beat the Broncos, right, and Broncos-Chiefs hate each other, right? You don't ever want to just give a game to the Broncos if you're the Chiefs. Broncos beat the Chiefs next week, they're in. But if the Chiefs beat the Broncos, the Chiefs don't want to see the Broncos in the playoffs. Maybe they play that seriously. Maybe they don't want to have everybody sit and lose momentum heading into the playoffs. Who knows what Andy Reid and the Chiefs will do? And you wonder. But if the Chiefs are able to win that game and the Dolphins beat the Jets, and the Jets got smoked today, then you will see the Miami Dolphins make the playoffs. And again, they've won 6 of their last 8 games. The 7-yard pass from Huntley to Malik Washington with 8 seconds left. They're able to get up, spike the ball. They kick the field goal right before halftime. Huntley's 13 of 15 at halftime, and they have the lead. That's how much that play, the execution of the offense from the lineman right on down. Tyreek Hill barely got back time to snap the ball. The execution to be able to get up and spike that ball to kick that field goal. Give yourselves the psychological boost of having the lead at halftime as opposed to the tie game in a slop fest. And that really was a huge thing, I thought, in that first half to go in. And Mike McDaniel said they felt good going into halftime. And I believed him. I believed him because then you come out in the third quarter, you get Tyler Huntley with a rushing touchdown. You know what I mean? And then Calais Campbell turning back the clock, 260 career games, to number 4 on the all-time list for defensive linemen. The last Miami Hurricane to play in the Orange Bowl and still be in the NFL right now. And, look, Tyler Huntley gets the rushing touchdown, and then Cleveland fumbles on the next drive. Ogba comes in, strips it. Deshaun Hand recovers from Miami, and that's setting the tone for the defense. They forced the fumble there. They had the interception on Cleveland's last drive of the first half that set up the field goal when they were able to execute, spike it, and get off the field. And then they had this. They had this play right here. What in the world is that going on? I think that's the Dan Marino picture. How about this one, guys? How about this one? This is awesome. When I worked at Sunday Night Sports Wrap with the Mad Dog, Jim Manich, and Jeff DeForest, there's Jim. Best wishes, Dan Marino. Number 13. That was awesome. And you know what? Not since number 13 have the Dolphins had a quarterback like Tua. And Tua's nowhere near Marino. Calm down. I'm not saying that, but man, he's the best one I think we've had since Danny. And that really is saying a lot. So the Dolphins score. Tyler Huntley rushes it in. And the defense with the turnover, they force it right away. And really interesting, and a third down play. And this is where the game got really interesting to me, right? You're in the third quarter, and Mike McDaniel gets gutsy, and you can tell he's coaching to win. You can tell the Phins, we're going to hit this right on the other side. We're going to hit the stats still to come, the player stats, the team stats, as tell you the story behind the story, right? Give you the player or players of the game, the turning point, final score graphic as well. But right on the other side of this quick break that we have here is when the game really turned, because the Dolphins had a chance to really let Cleveland back in the game. The defense forced a turnover on their last drive of the first half. The Dolphins keep the field goal, go ahead. Huntley comes out, runs one in the third quarter. It's 13-3. The Dolphins defense forces a turnover. They get the ball back. What happened next would determine the outcome of this game and keep the Dolphins' playoff hopes alive. I will explain what I mean. Un momento, por favor. Dolphins Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, not to be confused with podcast only here after the games. Jim Grieshaber, call me Gries, Gries, at Jim Gries _ on social media. Let's go, baby. Let's go. And I will get a chance right now to tell you about Rocket Money. And I start with a question for you. For all you people out there who have subscriptions every month, right? Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track all of them down. It's like having a personal assistant right there for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, which is really important, right? And helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. For example, one of the best features for me is the subscription tracker, right? I've used to cancel services I wasn't using anymore, and I've already saved a ton doing that. Plus, with their goals feature, I've been able to automatically set aside money for my future. No more stressing about budgeting every month. How important is that right now in this world we are living in, right? No doubt about that. So what does that mean? All of that means right now, as soon as I can get this thing to work, that means you cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. On the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to thank you for making Dolphins Postcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your first listen, your first watch every day. We're free here on YouTube, Locked On Sports Miami, and wherever you get your podcast, right? That means Stitcher, that means Podbean, that means Spotify, that means Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, you name it. We are there with the show. And right now, hey, it's your tomorrow. 20-3, the Dolphins still alive. All they need is the Chiefs to beat the Broncos, and they beat the Jets next week, and they are in. They are absolutely in. 6-2 in their last 8 games, playing really well. But in the third quarter, let me get some specifics for you. And real quick, as we reset, Jim Grieshaber, call me Gries on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Let me take a peek and see if there's any updated artwork that I can use in the Imagine, which there is. Please have the one that I want right now. Oh, you think you're, look at this picture. This is great. You think your gift sucks? I got Browns tickets. Look at this poor kid. Oh, man, you think your gift sucks? I got Browns tickets. Well, how about that? As the audience continues to surge. By the way, smash that subscribe. Hit the bell so you know when we're coming to you with more content. Engage in the chat room. We got someone right now. Yep. Yo, what up, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights? Shouting out my man. How about Tyler Huntley going in there like a G and just getting it done? And Jonnu Smith diving for the goal line late in the game. But I am about to take you through a sequence in the third quarter of this game, into the fourth quarter of this game, actually, that ended up winning the game for your Miami Dolphins. And really, Unbelievable. And I guess I'm just going to have to go with it, baby. Oh, yeah, you just roll. Let's see if I can do this on the fly while I'm going into, I don't know if I want to go in the studio here, and I'm not going to do that while I'm on live. I can't do it on the cell phone while I'm on live on the computer. I don't believe me, just watch. Come on, because we got the player of the game. We got the turning point, right, which is where the momentum switched. And what a play by Jonnu Smith to get in the end zone late in the game. 6 touchdowns all down the stretch. What a signing, the former FIU star. And a great job by Jonnu. You think your gift sucks? I got Browns tickets. Nothing could be worse than to get that kind of curse. Oh, the Browns, man. You almost kind of, no, you don't really. You don't feel bad for them, do you? I mean, living in Cleveland, that's a tough existence, man. Living in Cleveland is just a very brutal fate. Like, you don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be living in Cleveland. All right, so we're going to take you through this sequence, and I am going to, upload a file real quick as we're going. A couple of things at once here on the show as we continue with your Locked On Dolphins postcast. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, and the Dolphins with a huge win today, to say the least, at Cleveland. And man, the Heat right now, by the way, against Houston in the first quarter, up 29-27. So when you're thinking about that show coming up later right here, Locked On Sports Miami, and wherever you get your podcast, we will be doing that one for you here as well. So 20-3, the final. And where are we at here? Play by play. Okay, so we're looking at the possessions. So many possessions in this game, and we'll hit the numbers in just a second. And we might go a little long on the show. No stress at all here today. Having a great time. Numbers surging. Thank you. Smash the subscribe. Ring the bell. Hit us up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so media assets right up in there. The style, we will hit that. All right, so bang. Right up in there, we throw this in here, and yeah, we got Jonnu Smith lunging for the goal line. So the Dolphins kicked the field goal that was actually their opening drive, of the, hold on a second, 39 field goal. Yeah, the end of the half right there. Bang. All right, end quarter 2. All right, so they come out, they force a punt. Huntley runs it in for a touchdown. They force another punt. Then they punt themselves, right? Then they punt themselves. So here's the thing that happens, okay? After that punt, Cleveland gets the ball, and the Dolphin defense forces a fumble. Deshaun Hand recovers the fumble that was forced by Emmanuel Ogbah, came in with the strip. You know what I'm saying? So there we go. Hold on a second here. We got this? Yeah, there we go. Okay, bang. All right, so then you cause the fumble there, and the defense is starting to ball out. Remember, they had picked the ball off toward the end of the second quarter. Then they forced the fumble here, and you're up at this point in time. Remember, it's 13-3. Huntley had runs it in, and at the time, his passing numbers were sick. We're going to give you the stats in just a moment. The Dolphins have the football, okay? And here's where the game really gets crazy. It's 3rd down and 5. Huntley takes the snap. Right in his face is Myles Garrett, one of the best defensive players in the game, one of the best pass rushers of our lifetime. Myles Garrett, 95, right? One of the biggest, scariest dudes. Very few people get away from him. Huntley takes the snap, right, has the presence of mind to immediately pirouette and spin all the way around, run to the left side, racing with Garrett chasing him toward the first down marker, dives. I thought he was so close. They ended up challenging it and not winning the challenge. So close to the first down. But you're at the point in the game right here, okay? And Miami ends up turning it over on downs. 3rd and 5. There's 4:09 left in the third quarter. You have all 3 timeouts. And this is where things got really crazy for Mike McDaniel. All 3 timeouts. Remember what I just said. You had all 3 timeouts. And you're up 13-3. And all of a sudden you find yourself in a position where it's 3rd down and 5. And he makes this play. Beautiful play by Huntley, and he thinks he made it. Dove for the pylon on the sideline, and so what does Mike McDaniel do? He calls a challenge. So you're thinking it's 4th down anyway. Maybe he didn't make it. It's very close. Maybe you don't want to burn a timeout there, but maybe he's going to take a timeout anyway, right? Because you want to call a good play on 4th down. So instead of just calling a timeout, he challenges the play, thinking, well, if I lose the challenge, I'll lose a timeout anyway, which I was going to call the timeout regardless. So now I might as well see if I can get this play flipped to get the timeout called. And he was going to call, I think, the timeout anyway. So I think this is genius, Mike McDaniel, because we know sometimes he has trouble. Sometimes we think and we don't know. He's out thinking himself. We don't know what he's doing with the timeouts, with clock management, with all the things there, right? So he challenges the play, loses the challenge, okay? Loses the challenge. It was very close and not enough there to overturn it. So now he's like 1-4 or 1-5 this year on challenges, 4-17 career. But, you know, I mean, look, I didn't have a problem with that challenge. I thought it was all right. Well, then it's 4th down and inches and you go for it. I do not have a problem with going for it, right? It's the Cleveland 36-yard line. It's wet, it's rainy, it's cold, but your kicker has made 25 straight. So if you kick it there and you go up 16-3, it's a 13-point game. You're still only up 2 scores. 2 scores can beat you. So no matter what, 2 scores can beat you. But at least if you kicked it there, 2 scores, you know, a touchdown and a field goal couldn't tie you. But anyway, I'm like, all right, go for it, Mike. Here's where he lost me. They run a little like one of those little option quick pitch to the right side to Achane. Cleveland sniffs it out, buries them alive, and stuffs it. And I'm going, why can't you QB sneak it? It's less than half a yard. Sometimes I think they get a little too cute for their own good. I really do. But then here's the other thing that gets me, okay? Here is a real, and this is a big, big turning point in the game. And you wonder why they had to go and get cute. Well, here's what they do. They challenge it again. They challenge it again. And this one I thought was reckless. I thought this one was reckless. It was another challenge by Mike McDaniel, and I really thought at this point in time it was completely reckless. And remember, Achane lost 2 yards on the pitch. Lost 2 yards on the pitch. So here's the thing. It's 1st and 10 for Cleveland, the very next play at their 49-yard line, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson throws a pass to Foreman out in the flat. It looked like it could have been a backward pass, possibly. It's forward. They call it forward. Clearly, there's not enough evidence there to overturn it. What does McDaniel do? He challenges it again. So you go from being up 13-3 with the ball, picking up a potential 1st down on a challenge, right, to losing that challenge, getting stuffed on 4th down, challenging the very next play, forward pass versus backward pass, losing that challenge. So now Cleveland has the ball, and they're in your territory. They're in your territory. No, it was an incomplete pass. They're at their own 49. They're knocking on the door of your territory. You've lost 2 challenges in a row. You have no more challenges, and you only have 1 more timeout with 2:29 left in the 3rd quarter. You're watching Dolphins Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease. Smash that subscribe, the bell when you know we're here. Obviously, in the comments, you want to be up and in the know, coming on in and saying what you want to say up in here. Say what you need to say. Say what you need to say. Gonna wrap it up in just a moment. Got a mid-roll spot here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Locked On Dolphins Postcast. Right here, Dolphins Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, at Jim Grease _ your team every day, 20-3. They beat the Browns in Cleveland to stay alive in the playoff race. Still to come, your star of the game, your turning point of the game, your final score graphic. We're going to give you the stats, individual and team, as we finish taking you through what happened in that game. Stick around. All right, that was for the programmatic ad, guys. I'm still here. The goal line stand is forthcoming, and here's where it happened for your Miami Dolphins. So they challenged that play, and you lose that timeout. So with 2:32 left in the 3rd quarter, now you have a 10-point lead. You've lost your 2 timeouts. You don't have a challenge. Cleveland's got the ball knocking on your territory. All the momentum, you're on the road. And what happens a couple of plays later? A 15-yard penalty on Jordan Brooks. Unnecessary roughness on a tackle because he picked a guy up and threw him on the ground. Playing tackle football. Horrible call. We're not playing football anymore when this happens. If you watch the game, you know what I'm talking about. Disgrace, disgusting, horrible. Makes me sick to my actual stomach, to tell you the truth, that they even called that penalty. So now you got Cleveland at the Miami 9-yard line. You got a 1st and goal for Cleveland. So remember, you had a 10-point lead. You're driving. You had a turnover, a fumble that you forced, and you get the ball. Momentum's on your side. You have Tyler Huntley spinning away from Myles Garrett, running, picking up what he thought was a 1st down, although he was ruled a little short. You lose that challenge. You get stuffed on fourth down. The very next play, they get the ball. You challenge the ruling of a forward pass, thinking it was backward, could have been a turnover. Crazy sequence of events, right? If you lose both challenges, no more challenges, and only one more timeout. Cleveland goes all the way down to a 1st and goal at the 9, and what does your defense do? This is where they won the game. It's the turning point of the game. It's where they won the game. 1st and goal, right? 1st and goal. Unbelievable, right? They literally have the ball on the 9-yard line. Foreman goes for 5 yards to the 4-yard line, right? End of the 3rd quarter. 2nd and goal at the 4. Oh, incomplete, short to the left. They tried a naked bootleg, could have run it, could have thrown it. Dolphin defense sniffed it out, played it beautifully. Everybody played their gaps. Everybody stayed home. Beautiful defense by the Dolphins on that play. And, Anthony just dialing up the blitzes perfectly today on Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Anthony with a great job today, Weaver. But then you had the 3rd down at the 4-yard line, which was a 1-yard run for Foreman. And now you are up the creek when you're Cleveland. It's 4th and goal at the 3. The Dolphins defense pins their ears back. Calais Campbell, Father Time, undefeated against everyone but him. He gets through, and man, oh man, incomplete short to Judy. And that was Jalen Ramsey jumping the slant and knocking the ball down. A beautiful play. A slant, when it's run correctly and it's thrown perfectly, is almost completely indefensible. Jalen Ramsey somehow got his body between the receiver and the ball instead of Judy and knocked that son of a gun down. And it was a beautiful thing for the Dolphins. So the defense with the goal line stand, which is the turning point of the game, and a beautiful, beautiful job by the Miami Dolphins to turn away the Cleveland Browns. Now, remember, they had just lost the 2 challenges. They had been stuffed on 4th down. They committed the penalty, had all those things going on. And they were unable. The Browns were unable to score. So that really was the difference in the game. And then, of course, they go down and score themselves with Jonnu, which was awesome. Just Jonnu Smith has been great. And, if you could have multiple stars of the game and multiple plays and turning points of the game, you would. And we're about to hit those right now before we get on up, get on out, and get on up. We are uploading things right now. But again, the Dolphins, all the marbles next week against the Jets. We're going to hit that in a moment. And we might go a little bit long on the show today. Having a lot of fun. The audience, the numbers surging. This is Dolphins Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Not to be confused with your Locked On Dolphins podcast, which is day in and day out. Check that out tomorrow with Kyle Krabs. But today, right now, you're right here in the perfect place to be. We got the Heat postcast coming your way a little bit later as well after they finish playing the Houston Rockets, which is just going on right now in the 2nd quarter. But the Dolphins stay alive. I'm still alive. Let's see if we have a time and a day for that game yet next week. Let's see. TBD still. I wonder when the NFL is going to announce the days and times for this thing. There we go. We got one more thing uploading. So all the games next week are flex games, and they're all TBD. So if anybody knows when they're going to announce those in the chat, please put it in there. But so at that point, the Dolphin defense on 4th and goal, Jalen Ramsey with an all-world play. The goal line stand wipes out the 2 challenges. It wipes down the 4th down stuff. It wipes out the personal foul. You know what I mean? And that was really a beautiful thing by the Miami Dolphins defense. And then, of course, it leads to the touchdown pass to Jonnu Smith. And, look, I mean, the Dolphins punt. They get it back. They take 5 minutes off the clock. Jake Bailey with a punt pins the Browns inside the 5-yard line with a little over 5 minutes left. And, even though that 5-minute drive didn't result in any points, it was Tyler Huntley, man, game managing and doing a great job. I thought he was fantastic today. I don't think he could have been any better. I don't know if Tua would have been any better than Tyler was today. That's not a knock at all on Tua. I'm going to give you the numbers here in just a second before we give you the star of the game, the turning point, and the final score graphic, and get on out of here. As usual, I'm just trying to get these things to upload, and StreamYard is a little bit difficult. But I think the 3rd one is finally going to upload right now. And yes, indeed, it is. So let's put the final score graphic up there with Jonnu Smith scoring that touchdown. They made it 20-3 at the Cleveland Browns. Look at that for the Miami Dolphins, 6-2 in their last 8 games. Still alive. You're still alive, she said. Oh, do I deserve to be? Is that the question? Yes, it is. And the answer, I answer. They're still alive. your Miami Dolphins, the greatest football team. All right, so here we go. We are going to hit the stats because after that goal line stand, the next 2 possessions for the Browns, 4th down stops for the Dolphins. Yay. You see how that works? Game recognized game. Greatness is contagious. That defensive line balled out today. I wish they could get all game balls. All of them could get game balls and be players of the game. We're going to give you the player of the game. Un momento, por favor. I might do an hour and a half long show today. This is absolutely awesome. You want to be right here and only here for your post-game show on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's Dolphins Postcast. Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries, G-R-I-E-S. You can also catch me on ESPN Radio. You can also catch me on MMA Weekly covering the UFC. My social media, give me follow, make you holler. And, of course, all the Miami teams doing the postcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network and working with great people like Kyle and Alex and the Heat guys, and they do a fantastic job. By the way, Wes and George, hey, shout out to my homies and the Heat playing right now, and we'll have the postcast coming up soon. But there's Jonnu Smith diving across the goal line. Look at the defeated Cleveland Brown player lying prone and on the ground. Tyler Huntley with a beautiful performance today for your Miami Dolphins, the greatest football team. They take the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. More on him in a minute, but Huntley, 22 of 26. Yes, I said that, 22 of 26. That's what I said. Yeah, 1 touchdown, sacked 4 times, but a 115.5 rating. No interceptions, no turnovers for Tyler Huntley, who also had 7 carries for 52 yards to lead the team in rushing. Punched one in on the ground as well, so responsible for 2 touchdowns. Hope you started him on your fantasy team when you found out Tua was out with hip. By the way, we don't know if Tua's playing next week or not yet. If they said anything after the game that you guys saw that I haven't seen yet, then let me know. Achane only 10 carries for 25 yards. I mean, we'll just give up on the run game at this point. Receiving 9 for 105 for Tyreek Hill. No touchdown, or it would have been his best game of the season. 9 targets for Reek. Malik Washington, the rookie, 4 for 41 on the day, including the big 7-yarder that set up the field goal right before halftime when they were able to get up. He had the presence of mind as a rookie to get up quickly, hand the ball to the official, and allow for all that chain of events to unfold. And they spike the ball, kick the field goal, go up 6-3 at the half. Chain of events. He's a rookie, big game, and a big day. Remember, he had the big return last week as well that set up a score. Jonnu Smith, 3 for 26 in the touchdown. I love it when all these things start to come together. Meanwhile, Tyler Huntley did fumble the ball once, did not lose one. The Dolphins had a fumble recovery. Deshaun Hand recovered a fumble that was forced by Emmanuel Ogbah. Man, Calais Campbell turning back the clock today, played a good game on defense. Tyrell Dodson had 15 tackles and an interception in this game. Jordan Brooks with a couple of tackles for loss. Big one there. And, just an incredible game. Ogbah with a sack and a forced fumble. Just a very, very well-timed play there. Meanwhile, team stats very quickly for Miami. 18 first downs, Cleveland with 18 as well. Total plays, 20 more for the Browns. Total yards, 280 to 276 Miami. Passing, 206 to 162. Rushing, they were outrushed 114 to 74. What else is new for your Miami Dolphins? They had 11 penalties for 94 yards, which is sloppy and not good. The Browns, 9 for 84, kind of canceled it out, luckily there. And the 2 turnovers by Cleveland, 1 pick, 1 fumble, both by their quarterback. And look at Huntley for the Dolphins. He's throwing a passing touchdown and running one in as well. So the 2 turnovers by Cleveland and by their quarterback, the difference in the game as well, even though the time of possession was about even and just about everything there. The Dolphins were a 3.5-point favorite in this game, an easy win, easy cover for the Miami Dolphins. But again, we are going to give you the final score one more time. It's 20-3. Your Miami Dolphins with the victory at Cleveland. They go to 8-8 on the season. Can you believe they've clawed their way all the way back to 500? That's Jonnu Smith on the touchdown there. The turning point of the game, very easy. The goal line stand. It's 13-3 Miami, and it could have been the touchdown that put them up 13-3. But the reason I say here is because everything turned against you, right? Everything turned against you. And the momentum, the crowd, everything, and you're looking at it and you're going, wow, we're up 13-3, but we're going for it on fourth down when we thought we picked it up on third down. We lose the challenge there. We get stuffed on fourth down. We lose a challenge on the next play when we thought we had another turnover, and you lose 2 timeouts. You don't have any more challenges. The crowd's screaming. They're knocking on the door of your territory. You get a 15-yard penalty. They get a 1st and goal inside the 10-yard line at the 9. They run it for 5 yards on first down. It's 2nd and goal at the 4. You stop them 3 straight times from there. Jalen Ramsey with a big-time play to knock the ball down in front of Jerry Jeudy on a throw from Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and it did not find its mark. A beautiful play by Ramsey, and that goal line stand. After that, 2 more in succession. 4th down stops for Miami, but you erase all those. The defense came up huge in that situation, erasing all that adversity in one sequence of 4 downs. And then the star of our show, Tyler Huntley. What a game he played. Tua could not have played any better. Tyler Huntley scrambled in for a touchdown, threw for another one. Dolphins stay in the playoff race, the 20-3 win over Cleveland. Tua out with a hip injury. 5th missed game this season. They need to beat the Jets and hope the Broncos lose at home to the Chiefs. And Mahomes and many of the Chiefs starters are probably not going to play. They could play Taylor Swift and probably still win that game. But Huntley, you know what I mean? And we don't know Tua's status for next week. But Huntley, 22 of 26. I said 22 of 26. Remember Phil Simms in the Super Bowl, 22 of 25? Yeah, 22 of 26 for Tyler Huntley. 225 yards, no turnovers, his 4th start of the season. 26 years old, was in Cleveland in training camp before heading to the Dolphins after being released by the Browns, and then he beats them today. The NFL's funny like that, right? The Browns lose their 5th straight. They finish 2-6 at home. And, man, Dorian Thompson-Robinson not getting it done after Jameis Winston. And, of course, before that, Deshaun Watson. And all Deshaun Watson wanted was a happy ending. But Jalen Ramsey with the big-time play in the end zone right there. Without that, you're talking about a 3-point game. But, Tyler Huntley with the touchdown run. And then as soon as they had that goal line stand, what does he do? He marches them down and they score. And then what happens? They have the 5-minute drive. The 5-minute drive, they don't score, but they eat up the clock. Then he gets the touchdown to Jonnu Smith. That's 3:38 left in the game there. So Sanders kicks the field goals, 54 and 39, 25 in a row, a franchise record. Not even Garo Yepremian or Pete Stoyanovich was able to do that. Olindo Mare. Oh, man. Unbelievable, right? Really interesting with Tyler Huntley. 22 of 26, 225, a passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown, 9 catches, or 9 targets for Tyreek Hill. So they got him involved. They had Jonnu keeping it going. They really didn't do a lot with Achane out of the backfield, which they had been doing, but very, very encouraged by the offensive productivity and by the way the defense got after it, playing like dogs. And Mike McDaniel, you had the crazy challenges back-to-back. It's a whirling dervish like a Tasmanian devil, but Mike McDaniel got it done today, and the Dolphins picked up the win. It'll be on the 4th or the 5th, Saturday or Sunday, against the Jets. They got smoked by the Bills today. Huge win for the Dolphins, 20-3. They're 8-8 on the season. Can they finish with a winning record? And will that be good enough if they do to make the playoffs? We will not have answers to these questions until next week. But we will be here with your Dolphins postcast after the game, whenever it is. So keep checking your listings and find us right after here on Locked On Sports Miami YouTube. Here wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Stitcher, Podbean, wherever. And again, don't confuse us with Locked On Dolphins podcast. We are where you want to be right after the game. They're day in and day out. Check them out tomorrow. Kyle will have it for you hooked up. But we're here, Dolphins, Canes, Heat, Marlins, after the games with the postcast. Speaking of which, the Heat and the Rockets are going at it right now in Houston. And we will have that postcast coming at you today as well. So next week, we'll find out if we will have more games or not. I have little to no doubt that they'll beat the Jets next week. But who knows what will happen. Who knows what will happen with the Broncos and the Chiefs. All things equal, Kansas City playing all their guys. Easy win for the Chiefs, but everything's clinched and they could, but you never know, because if they win that game, I believe the Broncos win that game, then they'd play the Chiefs. Maybe the Broncos don't want to play them in the playoffs. Maybe they want to step on the throat and get them out of there. We don't know what they are thinking. So again, Chiefs beat the Broncos, Dolphins beat the Jets, and the Phins are in. And you can stop worrying about the Cardinals game, the Bills game on the road, the Colts game 16-10, and all those what-ifs and could-bes after Tua missed his 5th game of the year, and Tyler Huntley plays magnificently in his place, 22 of 26, 225, passing, 70 yards rushing, a rushing touchdown, a passing touchdown, and a W for your Miami Dolphins, who go to 8-8 on the season. That's all there is, Miami. There is no more. That's for you, Mad Dog Jim Mandich. I love you, my dude. One of the greatest friends and mentors I had in this business. Until next time, after this 20-3 win on the road in a hostile environment and a great job at Cleveland, the Dolphins are still alive for the playoffs. They have to win and hope the Broncos lose as well next week. And we'll be here right after that game on the Locked On Podcast Network with your Dolphins postcast like we've been all year. In the meantime, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell so you know when we're coming to you with more content, and of course, likes, comments, all those things in the chat as we come to you live with the best sports coverage on the planet with the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, Gries, at Jim Grease _ on social media. Thanking you profusely for being here. Wishing you a happy new year. And as always, Dolphin fans, reminding you to keep your game tight and your mind right, baby. We are out. We think. Oh, come on. That was